Want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast presented by FanDuel. Before we get into this post-game podcast tonight, I do want to give you guys a little update about me, where I've been. So, a couple of weeks ago, my mom got really sick, had to rush her to the emergency room, and she was there for around 2 weeks. Just discharged her. She's been home for the past couple of days. Still not 100%. Still looking after her, taking care of her. But did want to kind of update you guys on that. I got so many messages, whether it was on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, some emails, some really kind emails from you guys. So I appreciate each and every one of you that reached out. To me, you guys are family. Like, I love making Detroit Pistons content. I love hosting podcasts, whether you're an audio listener or whether you are a YouTube subscriber, Instagram follower, Twitter follower. To me, you guys are just a big family, and we all love the Detroit Pistons. And I just love the way that the community comes together, whether it's good or bad. So shout out to you guys for that. Really meant a lot to me and my family. But let's get into this post game show. Okay. So Pistons played the Spurs. A lot of great games this week. So to start this game, Spurs just come off the gate, 11-2. JB says, okay, let's take a timeout. 9:31 was the time mark that he decided to take a timeout. Now, I believe there were two main reasons why he took a timeout. One, his team's down 9 very early on in this first quarter. So probably talk to him, say, hey, guys, like, let's pick up the energy. Let's get back into this game. 9-point lead isn't nothing. Like, we don't want this to be a 20-point lead and we're trying to, scratch and claw, get back at this game. I think that's the first reason why I called a timeout. I think the second reason was you could tell the way this game was going to be officiated, and I don't think JB appreciated it. Now, I'm not one to come up here and blame the officials for the reason why a team lost a basketball game. I will say the officiating wasn't consistent on a possession by possession basis. I felt like there were possessions where they let them play, they let them be physical, and I loved it. Like, if you're going to call the game, let them be physical, but call down the middle. Like, be consistent with your whistles, be consistent with the way you're going to officiate the game. And I think JB very early on didn't appreciate how it was one sided in his eyes. I thought there were times where the Spurs were following, whether it was Jalen Duren or Cade Cunningham, there was no whistle. I also felt like, there were times where the Pistons were kind of reaching in and fouling, and the officials weren't calling any fouls on the Pistons. Like, you just have to be consistent with it. And that two physical teams that are the top of the NBA, 40-win basketball teams, respectively, the Pistons and the Spurs. But I think that's why JB did take a timeout very early on in the first quarter. Obviously, it did work for the Pistons to get a couple of defensive stops. And I thought they did a much better job of running the floor, moving the ball, and spacing the floor. And they got back into this game. And they were able to, get a lead too as well. It was unfortunate Jalen Duren did pick up two early fouls trying to guard Victor Wembanyama. Now, I have a little rant about Wemby. Before I have the rant, hell of a player, going to be a really good player for a long time. I've never seen a 7-footer on his ass so much in my life. Like, I get, like, he's a different type. Like, his body frame's a little bit different. He's wiry, kind of like a KD. But, like, some of the, like, falls and the flops and the flailing, I'm like, man, like, what are you doing? Like, get off your ass. Like, you're the biggest guy in the court right now, and you're on your ass more than, like, uh your point guards out there, like De'Aaron Fox. Like, I barely saw De'Aaron Fox on the floor. I saw Wemby on the floor way more than his guards. But that's a little rant I did want to kind of touch on. Duran obviously did pick up two fouls trying to guard him. He had like one where he like tried to like coax him in, saying he's like shooting a 3-point shot and kind of flailed his arms. And Duran had to go to the bench because he was kind of reaching, had his hand in the cookie jar. But this is a little rant with Wemby tonight. Like, hell of a player, but like I just don't like watching players that just try to actively get bailed out by the officials, trying to get to the free throw line. And then like when you're that big and like you're on the floor as much as like Jalen Brunson or Trey Young, like that's kind of that's a problem in my eyes. Maybe I'm just a little crabby. I don't know. And like I was like, what are we doing? I wanted to also kind of touch on Ron Holland in this first quarter. Just the energy and the hustle we know that he brings on a night to night basis. Had two difficult shots back to back that he made, and his energy is so infectious off that bench. You could tell the crowd was into it. That was probably the most packed I've seen LCA on a Monday night. But love it, man. You're number one seed in the East still. We're getting closer and closer to playoff basketball. March is coming up, and then April, and then we're in the playoffs, baby. So, really cool to see LCA packed out, and the crowd was really electric. You could hear it just through the TV. I was actually watching on my computer tonight, but you guys kind of get the message I'm saying. But the energy for the rest of that quarter was great. It was much better than the way they started, and they were able to have a 3-point lead. It was 27-24. Going into the second quarter, obviously a very physical game. The Spurs went on a 9-0 run. Their perimeter shooting, I thought, was a problem all night. They go on a 9-0 run. They get back into this game, and they were able to get a small lead, 38-35. And we had a little scuffle with Cade Cunningham and Stephon Castle. So Stephon Castle is guarding Cade Cunningham in the corner. Cade's trying to get free, obviously pushes him. And that kind of causes Keldon Johnson to shove Cade. And then here comes Jalen Duren pointing at him. And I'm like, crap. I flashed back to the Charlotte Hornets game. And I was like, okay, please just like kind of just walk away. Obviously, that fight was very entertaining as a basketball fan, but I'm also thinking in the back of my head, we don't have Stu. Duren just came back from suspension. Like, I don't need like more suspensions. Like, Jalen Duren is way too impactful and important to be sitting on the bench because, possibly getting another suspension with Keldon Johnson, right? Like, I don't even know how those two got double technicals, by the way. Like, I felt like Keldon should have just got a technical. Jalen Duren was just sticking up for his teammate. But again, like that was kind of weird to start the second quarter. Danish Jenkins and Paul Reed, I thought, just made really big impacts. Paul Reed's been phenomenal since the suspension with Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren. He's been getting much more playing time, and you love to see it. He's the best third string center in the league. Like straight up. Like I think he would be a backup on most NBA teams, maybe a starter on some kind of like fringe playing teams. He's a really good player. We're very fortunate to have Paul Reed on our team. Sar scored a lot very late in the second quarter. He scored like 8 points in like the final like 40 seconds in the second quarter. And then there was this like BS foul very late to end the second quarter. The Star was guarding Wemby, and he was able to go to the free throw line, and the Spurs had a 2-point lead going into half, 57-55. Going into the third, Cade picked up his fourth foul very early, and the Spurs went on a run. They were up 71-64 with 5.5 minutes to go. And then the Pistons have done this throughout the season where they just have lulls where they can't score the basketball. This one was over 4 minutes, and the Spurs were able to just kind of capitalize on the Pistons not hitting shots. We couldn't hit a shot to save our life in the third quarter, and the Spurs were able to end the third 83-75. Going into the fourth quarter, Cade picked up his fifth foul at the 11:28 minute mark, and he had to be very careful the way he was defending. Couldn't be as physical as he usually is, which I kind of think is disappointing because I really felt a lot of the calls tonight were very questionable on a possession by possession basis. But Jalen Duren started this fourth very active on the glass, made Wemby pick up 2 quick fouls with totaling him to 4 with 9.5 minutes to go in this game. But I really felt in the fourth, we just settled for way too many threes. Like I thought the best quarters of this game were very early on in the first quarter, and there were some spurts in the second where we were making stops, we were running the floor, we are getting into our sets, but I really felt there was just like a 3 or 4 minute span where like Duncan's trying to hit threes, Kay's trying to hit threes, Danis is trying to hit threes, Kara's hit a three and kind of got them within range, but like I felt like we just felt in love with the three in the fourth quarter. Obviously, we were able to get it down to 9, but, like, the Spurs just couldn't miss from 3, man. Like, they're a very good team. They have a lot of good defenders, a lot of good point guard play. Devin Vassell was on one tonight. He's a really good player. I know a lot of you guys have mentioned him in the past about, like, trying to, like, acquire him via trade. Good player. Keldon Johnson's a good player. Wemby is Wemby, but Pistons do fall to the Spurs in this one, 114 to 110. It does snap their 5-game winning streak that they were on. And they're going to uh, have a lot of tough games throughout the week. Surprisingly, in this game, when you look at the FanDuel odds, the Pistons were a 1.5 point favorite on FanDuel. So Vegas thought this game was going to go down to the wire. Obviously, I feel like if the Pistons um, didn't go on that lull in the third quarter where they didn't score for 4 straight minutes, maybe this is a different outcome. Maybe if you play the star a little bit more, I know JB mentioned that he wanted to give Ron a little bit more run just because he played so well. But in the back of my head, I was like, why don't you just play them both? Like Javante didn't have his best game. He could have played Ron and Asar, but hey, I'm not gonna get into rotations or nitpick. It was a hard fought game. It's a really good team. It's a really good team. You're gonna see even better team on Wednesday in the Oklahoma City Thunder. But kind of getting into just the box score, we'll go over it real quick. So Tobias Harris in 30 minutes scored 4 points. He was 1 out of 6 from the field, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers. Duncan Robinson in 27 minutes had 13 points, 5 out of 15 from the field, 3 out of 11 from three, and that is best shooting night. He also had 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Jalen Duren in 29 minutes had 25 points, 10 out of 13 from the field, 5 out of 6 from the free throw line, 14 rebounds, 1 assist, three turnovers, 2 steals. He just had a really strong game, I thought, especially going up against Wemby. Cade Cunningham in this one had 16 points, shot 5 out of 26 from the field, 2 out of 9 from three, 4 out of 5 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 turnovers, 2 steals, 3 blocks. And you had Asar Thompson in 18 minutes have 8 points. He was 4 out of 6 from the field, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Only played 18 minutes, obviously, because JB wanted to reward Ron Holland for the way he was playing. Paul Reed off the bench had 10 points. He was 5 out of 8 from the field, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 blocks in this one. Ron Holland in 26 minutes, 15 points, 5 out of 13 from the field, 1 out of 6 from three, perfect from the free throw line, made all 4 free throws. Season high, 11 rebounds for him, 1 steal, 1 block. Javante Green in 13 minutes didn't score at all. Karis LeVert in 21 minutes had 5 points. He has 2 out of 4 from the field, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 4 turnovers by Karis in this one. Danish Jenkins had 7 points. He was 3 out of 10 from the field, 1 out of 2 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds. And that was just kind of like what you had tonight. So you didn't have as a deep as rotation as JB usually likes to go to. Maybe he's starting to get more comfortable with his rotations. Watch him like play 13 guys next game. He probably will because I just said that. Probably will. But as we kind of do look at the team stats, you can kind of see neither team really shot particularly well from the field. Spurs shot 42%, Pistons shot 38. The Spurs 3-point shooting just killed the Pistons. They made 18 out of 40, shooting 45%. Pistons shot 7 out of 36, only shooting 19% from the field. Spurs didn't really capitalize at the free throw line. They were only 12 out of 19. Pistons did. They only missed 3 free throws all night. They were 16 out of 19, shooting 84%. Pistons did out-rebound the Spurs by 5. They were able to only have 21 assists to the Spurs 32. Spurs did have more steals, 8-7. They also had more blocks, and that is a big part because of Wembanyama tonight. Spurs had 11 blocks, the Pistons 8. Both teams had 16 turnovers, um, and it was just a thing where the Pistons still lived in the paint. They had 62 points in the paint to the Spurs 44, but that 3-point shooting is going to be really difficult to overcome, especially when you have lulls in the third where you just couldn't, you know, put any baskets together where you're scoring. But this was a fun game. I was really looking forward to seeing how the Pistons match up against the Spurs because I know the Spurs are one of the better teams in the Western Conference, and the Pistons do pretty well against Western Conference teams. I always have, um, in my opinion, anyways. Maybe I'm a little crazy there, but I always feel like the Pistons do pretty well against Western Conference teams. Now, as we kind of look ahead for the remainder games this week, you have the Oklahoma City Thunder on Wednesday. That'll be at home. Then you have the Cleveland Cavaliers, the newly looked Cleveland Cavaliers with James Harden and company. That'll be on Friday. So you get two more games at home, and then you end the week on Sunday against the Orlando Magic in Orlando. So, these next three games are going to be very highly anticipated, entertaining games. I'm really interested to see how the Pistons do against OKC. OKC just beat the Cavs. Their bench, one of the deepest benches in the league, they handle the Cavs very easily. So I'll be interested to see how the Pistons get up against OKC, especially with it being a home game. I miss you guys. This was so much fun to be back on this podcast. We're going to wrap it up. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying warm. It's snowing again in Michigan. Even though we had like 50-degree weather like a week ago, it's snowing again. Like, oh my God, I hate this state sometimes, man. It's so bipolar. But I'll talk to you guys soon. And as always, go Pistons. Peace.